Welcome, you're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Shanakshi Chakravarti. Let's bring you speed to all the headlines this hour. No end to the horrors of war in Ukraine. NDTV reports from the worst hit town of Borodyanka, one of the worst hit areas by the Russian bombings in Ukraine. A town completely ruined, homes reduced to rubble.
Well, we are now in the town of Borodyanka. As you can see, there is widespread destruction all around. So we are actually going to go to one of the areas where we are told it's relatively safe to get to, because the worry is of landmines and things like that in this area. This is a housing complex, it's an apartment complex which has been completely destroyed by the Russians. And as we've been saying repeatedly, as they retreated, they planted landmines which have slowly been diffused by and large by the Ukrainians. But the reason I actually stopped over here is, Ashok, can you focus on that bear? This is obviously where a child once stayed, and it's a vivid sort of reminder of what actually took place over here and the civilian loss of lives which took place. You can come up over here a little bit more. As you can see over here, it's bizarre. It's just in the middle of nowhere. This building which has been completely obliterated. There's this giant teddy bear of a child. This used to be the home, presumably, of a child. There's a broken cell phone over here as well. There's a carcass of a cat over here. There's a teddy bear, there's an umbrella, there's a broken cell phone. Could you tell us what brings you to Borodyanka specifically amid so many reports of Russian atrocities?
I think probably the same thing that's brought you here.
Right.
It's the reports that crimes within the court's jurisdiction, the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court, may have been committed. I sent a team of investigators here yesterday. We're working also, I'm being shown around by the prosecutors of Ukraine,
right,
and the investigators here. So I want to have my own impression of some of the allegations here in Borodyanka. We went to other towns yesterday as well, and we'll keep on doing our job to make sure we get to the truth. I'm not targeting any country. I'm looking at crimes, or all parties to a conflict, whether Ukrainians, whether they're Russians, have responsibilities to comply with the laws and customs of war. They have an obligation to comply with the Rome Statute obligations, because Ukraine has accepted the jurisdiction.
Right.
And we will look with an open mind, looking at the investigations, conducting investigations, and we will make determinations based upon evidence, and that's what's required.
The biggest danger of actually operating here in Borodyanka are landmines. This is a landmine which has actually been diffused a little while earlier on, but there are a couple of signs like this, and we've repeatedly been told not to travel or get onto these grassy patches, stick to the middle of the road, which is what we are trying to do. This has been demined, which is why we are here, but we need to be careful in this entire area, because as we've been reporting, the Russians have been planting mines, or have planted mines all over the place as they retreated, to prevent Ukrainian forces from actually gaining access to a lot of these areas. Traveling over here comes with a whole set of risks, but imagine what people over here, just be careful where you go behind, but people over here, imagine those who actually survived Borodyanka and what they saw. We also had an account of a woman who saw a young girl who says she was raped by Russian soldiers. So these are also accounts that the International Court of Justice will be looking at very, very closely.
The Karnataka Minister K.S. Ishwarappa, caught in a huge controversy following the allegations of corruption and a role in the suicide of a contractor, said he will step down from his post, adding that he will hand over his resignation letter to the Chief Minister on Friday. Sources indicate that the BJP High Command had given clear directions to the state that Mr. Ishwarappa must step down. Listen in to what the minister had to say.
इस्तीफा बोल जो पूछ रहा है डेफिनेटली मैं इस्तीफा तो नहीं देगा
भारतीय जनता पार्टिಯ ನೇತೃತ್ವದ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣಾಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಸಚಿವನಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಇವತ್ತಿನ ತನಕ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾನು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಾಳೆ ದಿನ ಮಂತ್ರಿ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಇದರ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸಿದರೆ ಆ ಯಾವ ಹಿರಿಯರಿಗೆ, ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳಿಗೆ, ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ನಾಯಕರಿಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಇರುಸು ಮುರುಸು ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಆ ಒಂದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ.
And sources say the central leadership was unhappy with the minister and that the 40% commission allegation was hurting the BJP's image. Congress's state president D.K. Shivkumar has now demanded the minister's arrest.
ನಮಗೆ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಕಾನೂನು ಏನಿದೆ, ಈ ಕಾನೂನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟು, ಅವರು ಬರೆದಂತ ಪತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಸಾವಿನ SMS ನಲ್ಲಿ, ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕರಪ್ಷನ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಅಡಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಹಾಕದೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದವರು ಹಂಗೆ FIR ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. 36 ಗಂಟೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಮ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ರಾತ್ರೋರಾತ್ರಿ ಹೆಣನ ಕಳಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ರು ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ, ಬೆಳಗಾವಿಗೆ. ಹಗಲೊತ್ತಾದ್ರೆ ಮಧ್ಯ ಯಾರೇನೇನು ಪಾಪ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರ ಗೌರವ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಡಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಏನಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಮೊದಲು ಆನ್ ಕರಪ್ಷನ್.
Right, shifting focus to the COVID cases in the national capital. Delhi records 325 cases, the highest in 40 days. 325 cases have been recorded in the last 24 hours, which is highest since the 3rd of March. The DDMA, which is the Delhi Disaster Management Authority, will be meeting on the 20th of April to take stock of the rising number of COVID cases in the national capital, which is now reporting a positivity rate of 2.39%. Let's bring you this report now. COVID cases are actually surging in Delhi, Gurgaon and Mumbai. Cases are also rising in schools across the national capital, with the government now asking all private schools to notify the government about cases and close down the affected wing or the entire school if somebody tests positive.
Crowds without social distancing and no masks, as now cases have started rising in Mumbai and Delhi. The national capital on Wednesday witnessed a jump of over 48% in daily cases compared to Tuesday. Positivity rate increases to 2.79% from 1.12% a week back. Active cases rise to 515 from 367 in a week. Daily COVID cases rise by 137% in a week. The Delhi government says no need to panic yet.
हॉस्पिटलाइजेशंस नहीं बढ़ रहे और अभी चिंता करने की किसी जरूरत नहीं है.
As COVID cases are now being reported in the schools as well, the Delhi government has come up with fresh guidelines for the safety of students. The first guideline includes that if a COVID case is reported in a school, then that wing or the entire school may be shut down for a brief period of time. Second guideline mandates the students and the teachers to wear masks and maintain social distancing. And the third one is about proper hand hygiene and awareness drive among students and teachers as far as the COVID appropriate behavior is concerned.
पेरेंट्स के मन में कंसर्न और इतना बड़ा ये जो पेंडेमिक आया था, सभी लोग डरे हुए हैं और अगर दोबारा से इस तरह के केसेस आते हैं तो हम चाहते हैं गवर्नमेंट पहले से ही कुछ स्ट्रिक्ट एक्शन ले.
मैं लगातार नज़र रखे हुए हूँ. किसी भी स्कूल में कहीं एक भी केस आता है किसी टीचर या किसी एक बच्चे को, तो उस वक्त स्कूल भी हमको रिपोर्ट कर रहा है और हम भी स्कूल को जो भी दिशा निर्देश हैं इंडिविजुअली दे रहे हैं.
In neighboring Gurugram, where cases have gone up, 100% in a week, officials are suggesting a return to masks.
And in the district task force meeting, it was decided that we propose government again for COVID appropriate behavior or maybe compulsion of mask. So we are planning to cover all 60 plus people by Har Ghar Dastak.
In Mumbai, a noticeable spike in daily COVID-19 cases, with the city reporting 73 new COVID cases on Wednesday. Between 31st March and 6th April, the city reported 283 cases. And between 7th April to 13th April, the city reported 331 cases, a 17% jump in a week.
Mumbai's civic body, the BMC, says that the latest spike in the number of COVID cases is not a cause for panic, and such patterns are expected in the life cycle of a pandemic. However, it warns citizens to continue wearing masks and practicing social distancing.
XC वेरिएंट को लेके पूरी दुनिया में जो है बहुत चिंता फैली हुई है. महाराष्ट्र में भी स्वाभाविक है कि इसके ऊपर सतर्कता बनी है.
While cases are rising in some cities, the overall COVID count remains stable, with about an average 1,000 cases being reported across the country in past 1 week.
There is a very small uptick if you look at the total number of cases in number of cases of COVID-19 in different parts of the country. But I think it is not at all a problem at the moment, since the intensive care admissions and total number of deaths and also the test positivity, these rates are not very high.
An NDTV Bureau Report.
And staying with news on COVID, more news on vaccines now. The Serum Institute of India's CEO Adar Poonawalla has claimed that made in India COVID-19 vaccines have provided more protection against the coronavirus infection than the mRNA vaccines like Pfizer and Moderna.
कुछ देशों में जहाँ मैसेंजर आरएनए वैक्सीन वापरा था, वहाँ बहुत सारे हॉस्पिटलाइजेशंस और केसेस हो चुके हैं, क्योंकि ये मैसेंजर आरएनए वैक्सीन इतनी अच्छी तरह से प्रोटेक्शन नहीं दे रही है. ये बहुत अच्छी बात है कि ये देश में हमने ये फाइजर और मोडर्ना की वैक्सीन्स इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं की थी, क्योंकि देखिए आप यूएस में तो दूसरे और तीसरे बूस्टर की जरूरत है, और हमारे देश में तो भगवान की मेहरबानी से हमारी वैक्सीन बहुत अच्छी तरह से सब देशवासियों को सुरक्षा दी है.
Shifting focus to some other news now. India's inflation rate is the highest it has been in the last 6 months, and food inflation is significantly up too. All this means the prices of essential commodities have increased significantly. So how are the poor and the middle class families coping? Find out more in this report.
India's latest luxury item is the once ubiquitous lemon. That's selling for 300 rupees a kilo across UP. A massive 10-fold price rise in just 2 months. This has badly affected small vendors like Ram Dular Gupta, whose 15,000 rupee monthly income from this Varanasi lemon soda stall supports a family of 5.
अभी मान लीजिए कि अगर से नींबू की महंगाई की वजह से अगर से हम दुकान बंद करें तो हमारे ग्राहक जो पूरा जो इधर उधर हो जाएंगे, फिर उसके बाद में हम धंधा चालू करेंगे तो हमारा ग्राहक मिलना बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा. इसलिए कि आज 2012-13 से जो कि हमने धंधा जो चालू करके रखा है, जो ग्राहक हमारे बने हैं वो सब हमारा चितिर-बितिर हो जाएंगे, तो फिर हमें बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा.
The prices of most vegetables and other essentials are up across India in the last 6 months. So I'm at a sabzi stall in Lucknow and trying to get a sense of how prices have risen. So this thali here with me has items that I could perhaps use for a one-time meal, and I just want to give you an idea of the cost. So this parwal here, for instance, is selling at 100 rupees a kilo. This bhindi here is selling for 80 rupees a kilo. This lemon here, something that was so commonplace at one point of time, at the moment is 10 rupees a piece. And all of these vegetables together, I guess, would cost around 35 to 40 rupees. And this is perhaps what one could eat in a one-time meal. Now, the sabzi wala here tells me that about 6 months ago, I could have got the same thali, this plate, for about 25 rupees, 25, 26 rupees, maybe 30. So there does appear to have been an increase of about 10 rupees just for one meal that I have to take. And I guess this is an indicator of the kind of prices that have risen. The solution to this, when we'll get relief, those are questions for which we don't appear to have answers right now. India's poorest are hit the most. In Lucknow, Shashi Kashyap, whose husband works at a canteen earning 15,000 rupees a month, income that supports a family of 5, says she has reduced milk supplements for her 2 young children. And it's been a difficult time despite the government's free ration scheme.
पहले हम लोगों को 1500 में राशन आ जाता था जो हम लोग 1 महीने चलाते थे। अब तो 3, 3.5, 4 हजार रुपए में राशन आता है, पता ही नहीं चलता। बच्चों का बॉर्नविटा कैंसिल हो गया है, हॉर्लिक्स कैंसिल हो चुका है।
Also affected are middle class families like Sudhir and Nimmi Agarwal in Lucknow, who say weekly outings with their children are now on hold. Sudhir runs a modular unit manufacturing business, and with the fuel price rise, raw material and transportation rates have increased. At home, milk prices are up by rupees 2 to 5 a litre in the last 6 months.
किचन चलाना इसलिए मुश्किल हुआ है कि बच्चे अपनी डिमांड करते हैं, हर नीड उनकी अब हम लोग पूरी नहीं कर पाते हैं। नींबू बहुत महंगा है, तो नींबू तो गर्मी में सबसे जरूरी नीड है, तो लगता है थोड़ा सा किधर हटाओ उधर काम चलो, नींबू बिना काम चलना नहीं है हमारा।
International pressure is there, but government can also do better for this thing by holding the prices, control prices of diesel and petrol.
No answers so far on when the situation will ease. With Ajay Singh and camera person Rajesh Gupta, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.